It certainly does reflect patchiness in our economy, and it certainly does reflect pretty rugged global economic conditions at the end of last year. Now, this is the last national account release prior to the budget, so there will be a lot of interest in these numbers from that perspective as well. And there's no doubt that these numbers will have a detrimental impact on our budget bottom line. Having said all that, there is nothing in these numbers that deters the government from bringing down a surplus in 2012-13, although obviously this makes that task more difficult. Now, it's important that we do put the number in perspective when you consider the very severe turbulence and weak global conditions that marked the final months of last year, the final quarter of last year. If you consider it in that context, this result is pretty solid in the circumstances. We shouldn't also forget that this number today is a backward-looking number. It's a snapshot of our economy right at the fever pitch, if you like, of the European turmoil at the end of last year. Now, while global conditions do loom large, and we have seen some pretty positive action from European authorities since that time, I think we can say that some of the pressures emanating from Europe have eased a little since the end of last year, but as you know, there are ongoing discussions in Europe as we speak. But if you do cast your mind back to the last 3 months of last year, you did witness the worst bout of global instability since the global financial crisis. I'll just take you through what actually occurred during this 3-month period at the end of last year. We saw the most violent swings in global financial markets that we'd seen since the global financial crisis. We saw a contraction in over half of the major advanced economies, with global unemployment rising even further to very high levels. And we saw all of those rolling crisis meetings right through that period, which did succeed in averting contagion in Europe. So that was really the grim global backdrop to the national accounts that we're talking about today. So it's not surprising to see quarterly growth moderate here at home, especially as we did have a particularly robust number for the September national accounts. And I think you would recall that I made the point at that time that we would be seeing pretty lumpy business investment, strong business investment, but some lumpy outcomes in future figures. And I think we're seeing that influence in the data today as well, and I'll explain that in some detail later on.